Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is pissing off a lot of AAA companies at the moment.
Okay, today's video is kind of wild, and I'll start by sharing some stats. And keep in mind, this is all from a core team of just 30 people. So, 1 million sales in 3 days, and that's not even counting Game Pass, so there'll be a load more players.
Because we don't count Game Pass's sales because it's stupid.
A 97% recommendation on OpenCritic, and 92% in Steam as of the first 17,000 reviews. There have been thousands more, and obviously a lot of copies sold on PlayStation. Basically, by any numbers, Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is one of the best games.
Clara Obscura? Damn! British.
Games this year. But there's a thing, this is not like a lot of the other games. It's actually a tiny core team, a core team of just 30. This is their debut title, and it's, well, a turn-based RPG. This is in a genre that the big players so far have dismissed, and at least from like an audience's perspective, it completely came out of nowhere. So, that's the overall story of Expedition 33 in the market, though parts of it aren't always accurate. Now, I'm not here to shit in the team, very much the opposite. To oversimplistically glaze them actually undermines how much of an achievement this game actually is, how sensible, how smart this team have been, and we'll also be able to cover today where the game came from and who funded it. First up, if you're not part of the million sales, Expedition 33 is a
Oh, actually, good question. Who the hell did fund it? Because even if it's 5.5 million, that's not something you can get in a Euro grant. You don't know it's Euro grant, that's just Europe gives a lot of money to a lot of people who want to make a lot of different things. Kind of wild.
turn-based RPG with
But you can't really get 5 milli out of this, so you have to have some kind of backing or investor.
reactive combat quick-time events set in a painterly world where anyone past the age of 33 is killed by a wrathful god. You and your party set out to do basically the JRPG thing, you know, you save yourselves, save the world. You may even kill God at the end, but I haven't actually got there yet, so we'll see. Now, while just about everything in this game is being praised, what's really standing out is the prologue. The prologue is utterly incredible. Beyond that, though, it's exceedingly French, and just as the French comics and animation scene owes a big debt to Japan, so does this game, and that's not just me editorializing, that is overtly a parallel drawn by the creative director who gave the producer copies of FF10 and Persona 5. But to my horror, not a copy of the best JRPG
Based.
of all time, which obviously is The Lord of the Rings, The Third Age. Anyway, here's what's wild about this game. It's not AAA, even though it's besting them, even though it looks like one. In a way,
Yeah, AAA is purely decided by how much money and what kind of studio is making the game.
the sheer excitement around Expedition 33 almost underplays the many reasons why this game is able to punch way above its weight class. One of the biggest talking points about Expedition 33 is the team itself, that somehow only 30 developers made this thing, that they cast off the shackles of Ubisoft and made a linear game that was the opposite of an Ubisoft game. And that, thankfully, is not wrong, but it's also not the full story, so here goes.
Oh, I thought that something was wrong there because the graphics suddenly looked worse.
Sandfall Interactive are a new studio established in 2020. Expedition 33 was in development since 2019. That's back when the creative director, Guillaume, I think is how you say his name, was noodling around in Unreal Engine for the first time. And it sure seems Unreal lit a fire under him. So he, and a bit under half of their team, hail from Ubisoft. The rest are from studios like Cyanide or other indie groups. There are plenty of veterans, but here's the wild thing. For the majority of that team, Expedition 33 is their first industry credit. And that is especially the case in level, VFX, and technical art.
This makes me question, is this lightning in a bottle type of situation, honestly? And by the way, it's not bad if it is. That's commendable still. That's great. But because remember, there are a lot of companies that do stuff like this or similar to this. One of the most prominent ones is obviously everyone's favorite Fallout New Vegas. Done by Obsidian, gave them fame, gave them notoriety, and then they continue to suck until today, and probably are going to suck in the future because the outer world still looks like shit. Yeah, maybe this is lightning in a bottle. Who honestly knows? Hopefully this is the start of something big.
It's kind of wild. Honestly, I'd say that is sort of insane. And in a way, it makes me sad. It suggests that we
And also, this is not insane. This is not insane in the slightest, okay? I don't know if these people are talented, honestly. I have not met them. I do not know them. I do not understand coding at all. So, I am unable to say if they're talented. They're probably a cut above average, but maybe they're talented. I don't know. Because talented people, I don't know if you have ever met talented people, but I have. I have met two actually talented people in my life. Just two. And when I met the first one, I instantaneously, my jaw was on the floor because of how fucking unfair the world is. When you finally meet someone with talent through fucking natural given for no reason but luck, talent, it makes you feel small. It makes you feel insignificant. And I'm someone who I really hate when someone says, "Oh, are you just envious of this person?" No, I pretty much have. I pretty much have not never had envy of anyone's success or anything like that. But man, meeting a truly talented person made even me fucking feel bad about myself. Why am I not that person? Because when you see someone talented, it it truly makes you just fucking crumble because of how absolutely different it is. How they are capable of understanding such complex things in, well, the field that they are talented in. And if your fields overlap, even in the slightest, you can easily recognize that this person doesn't really know anything, but somehow they are exactly right about everything. They exactly know the right solution to everything, and it takes them zero effort. They just fucking know how to do it. And that's devastating. That shit is absolutely devastating because you instantaneously understand no matter how much I learn, train, or do whatever the fuck, I will never be able to stand up to anyone with true talent in any aspect of society, life, or whatever. Talent is everything. And people with talent are just a cut above the rest, okay? I don't know if that's the situation, but it might be. Maybe it is. Who honestly knows? Maybe it's just luck. We will find out. But if it's fucking true talent, shit, we're gonna have a lot. We're gonna have a lot of interesting things happen.
we should have had far more games like this. You see, the 2020s saw a wave of senior staff, right, at AAA companies leave those companies to start their own team. It was a real hot funding environment, and look, the ex-Blizzard people, the ex-BioWare people, you've seen all of that stuff. But as we've covered here, that has tended not to end well, and very often not because the game comes out and it's bad, but because the financial landscape changed, which is basically to say there were loads of other teams kinda like this one, but the funding environment just ended up killing them. Yet, we just look at Sandfall and we look at this game. This game is the single best argument for this model of development yet, but that's all surface level. Let's go a little bit deeper to see how the game was actually made. To start, Sandfall have a team of 30. Now, 30 is really just not enough to make a game like this, just in terms of the pure amount of labor. Now, one way around this problem is to scale up the headcount of your team, but doing so is extremely hard. And that core problem has led to fun times in the industry. So back in the day, companies would swell up their headcount to produce a game, and then they would do mass layoffs. That obviously sucked. These companies
Sucked, but necessary. And if it's necessary, it is what it is. Just don't be one of the worst ones that gets fired. It's that simple, by the way. But in any way, there is a massive problem with all of this, obviously. There is one real life thing that sounds extremely counterintuitive, but actually is insane. And that is donating a lot of money to small charities that actually don't, take 99.9% of the donated money and convert that into service fees and then give like 1 cent of like someone somewhere, okay? But the real charities that actually try and give the absolute majority of the money that they receive into something that they think is positive. And the counterintuitive thing in all of this is the fact that you think, well, you just give them a lot of money and they do good. Kinda, yeah, but turns out when you actually give a charity like that a lot of money, they fail because they don't know what to do with that money. They don't know how to upscale fast enough and big enough. And this is like, look at this. This is a perfect example because it's a charity. You think how fucking hard can that be, right? To upscale a charity. Just give more money to whatever the fuck, right? Yeah, turns out it's not that easy. And when it's not easy in something that sounds that ridiculously easy, how hard do you actually think upscaling becomes in a company that had 30 employees, invested 5.5 mil, and now currently has fished up how much was Clair Obscur? 40 bucks? Something like 40 million in revenue. Not in profit, but in revenue. Yeah, upscaling something like that is insanely hard. Upscaling something like that on its own probably was gonna require, if you do want to do it in a reasonable way, like a year or two just to upscale shit. And yeah, it's not easy.
Would end up losing a lot of institutional knowledge. So in response, many companies then became multi-project studios. Now, that is hard. The point, though, is whenever one project has its big production bulk, another is in pre-production. Then, whenever the big production of one is over, those staff can move to the game that's just finished its pre-production, and then ideally you don't have to fire a load of people and lose all your institutional knowledge. The thing is, though, game development is, kind of hard, and lining up those schedules is a challenge. This has led to a lot of issues in the industry. And to top it all off, those companies end up so large that it's just a level of scale that erodes focus. Focus is king. Sandfall went with a different option then. They went with outsourcing. And as an example, we see that clearly in this 8-person animation team that they hired, as well as porting, quality assurance, music, and the publishing arm of this game. And the publishing I'll come back to. There's actually more to that story. The focus that they gain from being a team of just 30, well, pays off big time. Now, to put
they have a publicist? Oof, that's questionable.
all this together, you then of course have the engine, which is Unreal 5. That makes this game look like a AAA game, but it's staff who know how to use that engine that make it feel like a AAA game. And so very often that's the difference. And all that while doing gameplay in a genre that AAA, at least by the conventions of today, would simply not make. Turn-based battling, mini-games, and an overworld map that players can navigate. It is all classic JRPG stuff, so the Final Fantasy inspirations might be a source of that feeling. But you think about Final Fantasy, and you think about FF16. FF16 in the more recent games have been moving towards action gameplay, and that has soured a lot of people. And that's because, right? It's always been framed as a common wisdom that turn-based games do not sell as well and are not as popular as games that are not turn-based. What we see here is Sandfall ignoring those beliefs and making the game that they wanted, inspired by the games that inspired them, say FFX, and that is some damn laudable shit. They're not chasing industry trends here, but actually in a way you could say that they are. Now, I don't mean this in a bad way, it's more to expose a strange thing that's happened. The industry critics and audiences seem to actually love turn-based RPGs. So, looking at OpenCritic, of the last 10 years, only 2 have not had at least one turn-based RPG in the top 20 rated games. So these are big, people do love them, and that's not even counting well-selling turn.
Yeah, that seems stupid. That can easily be explained by just the fact that, hey, big company, make turn-based thing. We need to include it, or big company is not going to give us any of those inside benefits.
Based games like Octopath, Wasteland, or Like a Dragon. So, the AAA industry is capable of making turn-based RPGs, let alone indie.
Oh wait, yeah, Like a Dragon is theoretically a turn-based game. Okay.
But maybe what people were missing was a classic Japanese RPG, right? With action-based combat, mini-games, party dynamics, the things that we're seeing here. Plus, of course, some of the fresh ideas of indie games. And that's why, say, Sea of Stars did so well in 2023. I mean, it's basically, and yes, this is reductive, Expedition 33, but with top-down pixel art instead of 3D graphics. So, maybe it's not just about the genre making the game a success. It's about the AAA feel of that genre being a surprise. I think that
No, it's about women without footwear because everyone knows that's right, but no one does.
that's actually the big thing here. The fact that this game looks and feels AAA in a way that something like Sea of Stars or even Metaphor Refantasio, well, doesn't, right? And as much as I love the stylization of Metaphor or Persona, it is not photoreal, absolutely effects to the tits, Square Enix style JRPG stuff. And you know what? That's what this game is able to hit. And I think that is what makes it seem so incredibly fresh. And a lot of that is because they've clearly made it smart, and, well, UE5 does actually give developers a hell of a lot of things out of the box. Games are currently in the middle of a crisis of marketing, so you'd be forgiven for not knowing about Expedition 33, but it would be a little unfair to say that this game came out of nowhere. We had appearances at Xbox's big showcases, full features in PC Gamer and Edge, and so much hype it got a Game Pass deal. And
PC Gamer writing an article about this is probably bad. Again, I still think, I'm gonna mention this every time, but I still think shills like Mr. Batty, Luke Steffens, Shill Up, and whatever, saying that this game is gonna be a masterpiece when everyone knows that they're sponsored actually damaged the game significantly. Again, multiple people comment about this. Oh, because I wrote this game off, didn't buy it at the start because these people said it's good. And when these people say it's good, I know it's lies.
even before this had a release, Variety was confirming that it already had a film deal. So if it came out of nowhere from a tiny bunch of indies, how does that have a film deal? Well, we can talk about that. So within the industry, this game has been known as one pushed for success. And that feels counter to the idea, or some of them, that we've been talking about lately. I mean, last week, we did a video talking about, narrative games being cancelled because publishers are suggesting they're too risky. Expedition 33 certainly runs counter to that. But here's the thing, here's the difference. This game's publisher is actually a bunch of indie developers. They're called Kepler Interactive. Now, they launched in 21. They've been making pretty big waves, I'd say, in the indie and AA space. The TLDR, right, is a collective of indie devs who have pooled talents and resources to support each other in publishing their games and other games. Games like, say, Pacific Drive, Sifu, Scorn, Teacher as well, so fairly big successes. Now, that doesn't mean that, everything they touch is gold. Ultros and Bionic Bay have not done as well, so you may not know about those. But regardless, these are games.
Wait, what the fuck is Bill here talking about? I don't even remember where I found Expedition 33. I think I found it on YouTube, and that's it. Where did you hear about Expedition 33? I think I found it on YouTube somewhere. I think someone was talking about it on YouTube. I have not read an article. I have not seen an ad. I have seen nothing. Nothing about this. And then I got interested in this. And then I started following it. And then I called it mid because it looked mid. And then it turned out to be the greatest thing since sliced fucking bread. It happens. So yeah, I'm kind of confused. Well, because a publisher's job is to... the secret's kind of in the name, right? Publisher. They publish the game to the world and make the hell was that? Something bit me. Ouch. And the job is to make the world know that this game exists. And what the fuck did the publisher do? Okay. And if you're a developer, by the way, this is what I hear all the people that I personally kind of trust about their opinion about these things say about publishers. If you're not sure a publisher can do anything for you, then you don't need a publisher. If you don't think that what the publisher offers could be good for you, you don't need a publisher. Publishers are a dying breed, honestly, at this point. Because the reality is, every studio can just contact some fucking small YouTubers and say, hey, buddy, listen, hey, we're gonna send you the deluxe edition of the game. How about you just fucking talk about it? No contract, no nothing. Hey, we're gonna give you this and just talk about it. This is not even a promotion. If you want, talk about it. If you don't. Okay, not even a deal any longer. It's not even a thing. It's like, hey, we like your channel, lies, but we're gonna give you X, and if you want to make a video about it, make it. obviously this is pure bullshit because it is kind of like, hey, we're gonna give you a thing, but it's not exactly a promotion because you didn't really get paid. They didn't force you. They didn't tell you to do anything. It's like they just insinuated. And you can do that as a publisher. It costs almost nothing because you can get like hundreds of small YouTube channels to talk about your shit. And for bigger channels, yeah, you can do a deal. Like give them a K or two or something like that and make them talk about the game. It is so effective as marketing.
that are made on their developers' terms because their publisher actually knows what it's like to make those games. And to top it all off, they have connections. Connections that get these games the best shot possible, like we've seen with the movie thing, like we've seen with Xbox, and all of the featuring this game's got. So you can see how this all basically has came together. Sandfall can work at their own pace because of a healthy publishing arrangement. They can work in delivering the genre experience that they want with AAA class tools that are, I guess, more
Again, I kind of didn't hear what exactly the publisher is doing for them.
more powerful than ever. They then have the connections to proper hardcore outsourced talent, like those, say, 8 gameplay animators, and that means that they can put together something with very clear scope.
Oh, well, yeah, a publisher technically can help you make the game in general because they have connections through, but I'm pretty sure I can Google companies, world-renowned companies that make animations for video games, and it's not gonna give me Fiverr, okay? I'm pretty sure you can do it and there's no problem.
At an astounding level of quality, quite seemingly with a hell of a lot more efficiency than a massive, traditional, bloated AAA team. If there's one thing you take away, it should be this. Expedition 33 is not successful for any one reason. It's not popular just because it's made by a small team. It's not good just because it's a throwback RPG. To say that actually does a disservice to the incredibly polished, well-executed game that this team has produced. They spent 6 years working on an idea that came from artistic inspirations. They took their favorite games and then synthesized them into something that they are excited to play, that's new, that's their vision. They partnered with a publisher who respected them enough to help them make this game the way that they wanted. When you put all of those things together, then you get a game like this. And while the average dev or indie can certainly not count on those connections and that backing, I think there are massive.
Okay, Biller, that's a lot of nothing, Dad. 10 out of 10. Anyway, that was Biller. Have a nice day. Bye.